Welcome to the Scariest Things podcast, your gateway to the trends and tropes of the horror genre. This is episode 142. Shortly after Valentine's Day, we are celebrating horror couples. Aww.
Aww.
But this isn't necessarily. I think Liz. I think you were the one who said we're getting close to Valentine's Day. Oh, actually, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm
Yes.
Eric Lee.
And this is Mike Campbell.
I'm Liz Williams.
There we go.
Hi.
It's like nothing but professionals here.
Yep.
You know, the only thing better than a couple, a
Thruple?
podcasting trio.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Because couples are okay,
Yep.
passable, but a podcasting
Trios
trio,
are better.
that's where the money is.
That's strong stuff. So Liz, so tell.
Yeah.
So this was, I think it was conceived because we were knowing we were approaching Valentine's Day. Kind
Right.
of blew past that by the time this thing gets posted. But it's the
Yep.
thought that counts. It's kind of like got a box of chocolates that went on sale at.
Hey, it's 50% off. I
That's
wait
right.
till after to get the candy. So this is your
Exactly.
half-price podcast.
Happy Valentine's Day, sweetie. It's a little stale, but it's all right.
Yep. Still,
But what were the kind of criteria that you, as you were thinking about your horror couples, what are you thinking?
all mine are couples that kill together.
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Or two of them are couples that like intentionally kill together. One of them kind of accidentally ends up killing together, but they're still a killer couple. So
Oh.
killer couples. Mine are killer couples.
But not accidentally killing each other, just killing other people
Killing other people.
as a couple, accidentally.
Yeah. And some of these people may die, but
Okay.
all right.
they don't kill each other.
What about you, Eric? Where were you at with horror couples?
I've got some different variants. I've got
Yeah.
a Beauty and the Beast couple.
Okay.
I've got a.
Do they kill together?
Yeah, I have one that is a killing couple,
Okay.
and then I
Okay.
have one that is a stand against the evil couple.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've got and there are all kinds. You could look at it in all kinds of different ways, and that's
Mm-hmm.
I tried to spread it around. Different examples of horror's not just for fighting.
That's right.
Horror sometimes can be just
Punching
Horror's
and
for
kick.
lovers. All mine are couples.
It's not just a Marvel punch kick movie.
That's
Nope.
Punching and kicking.
So-
Punching and kicking. I chose buddies, I chose brothers, and I chose a married couple,
All
right.
none of which kill together.
Oh.
At
right.
all.
Well, at least we won't have any crossover with mine.
At all.
Okay.
I was on the benevolent side of coupledom,
Okay.
not on the malevolent side of coupledom.
Yeah. That I didn't realize I'm malevolent, benevolent. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like take only 52 years later. It's like all right, piece that together. So
And that's a couple, benevolent and malevolent.
And malevolent.
Yeah.
that's right. Well,
I will say this. Speaking of the yin yang of coupledom, that's I chose couples that all had sort of a yin yang to them.
you'll have to describe the yin yang.
Mine
Meaning
don't.
there's
The
like there's
complements
a
of-
natural fit and there's a complement, and in one case it's a physical fit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. We're getting weird.
Hmm.
We're gonna get weird towards the end. So hold on to your hats. There's gonna be some weirdness.
Yeah.
It's
Good. You're
coming.
gonna need the weirdness because most of mine are very, very dark and depressing.
Oh no! This is
Yeah.
going to be
2 out of 3. 2 out
on
of 3.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
This is remember, folks. This is the woman who likes to watch.
I do.
L'Intérieur for Christmas.
It's a Christmas film.
Nothing like a pregnancy baby napping forced
Yeah.
cesarean section thing for
For Christmas.
It's like, the roughest C-section you'll ever see.
I watch that and then I watch Love Actually, so it
Okay,
balances
there you
out.
go.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, you have to wash the saccharin out of your mouth. After.
Yeah.
Yes,
After that.
exactly.
That's a yin yang right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yins
Mhm.
and yangs.
Yins and yangs.
All right. Well,
Couples.
I'm gonna kick it off.
All right.
Okay.
And this is my my killing couple, and I doubt that this is going to be the killing couple that that Liz has in mind. But I have got, and this goes back to my love that I recently did a horror musicals thing, and this is Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of
good
Fleet
choice.
Street.
Good choice.
Right.
So you have sexy couple Johnny Depp
And
Helena
very
Bonham Carter.
classy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eric's going classy.
It is, and but it is also one of the most toe curling, because for those of you who don't know, this is the tale of Sweeney Todd is based on an old British I forget what they call it, penny dreadfuls,
Right.
It's sort of Gaslight era, Dickensian London, so it's grimy and dirty, and a man has been wronged. His wife was taken from him by a jealous judge, and he was sort of Sweeney Todd was exiled,
Right.
and he comes back, and he was a barber, and he comes back years later and looking for his daughter, and because he believes his daughter is still alive, he believes that the judge took his wife and that she died running away from him. So he's coming back for revenge. And if you got issues with seeing sharp blades up against necks, unlike a lot of horror movies where they just kind of go for it, where it's like they'll it's like, oh, it's a beheading. There's a lot of a lot of singing, and then with his blade right up against someone's neck, and he's singing, and he's like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Okay. Oh no! And it was that it's very intense in that way. But one of the key things here is that he is taken in by one of his old neighbors, Mrs. Lovett, Helena Bonham Carter, and the two of them conspire to take vengeance upon those who wronged him and turn them into meat pies. And all the time singing these wonderful songs. When I was a kid, my grandma, who was actually a very forward-thinking grandma, she took me when I was like 12 years old, and we went to see.
I was just going to ask
Sweeney
if you had.
Todd.
I was going to ask if you had ever seen Sweeney Todd. Answer: yes.
In San Francisco.
Right. And then you
great
became a
production.
horror fan.
That's right.
Yep.
Thanks, Grandma.
Grandma got me into horror through Sweeney Todd. But it's a I love the songs, and you have Alan Rickman is also in it. And Sacha Baron Cohen, and they're all just sort of going full out. But it's that relationship between the insane barber and the kind of insane enabler,
right?
Because she makes. There's one song called the worst pies in London, and everybody hates her pies. They're just awful. And it's like filled with like there's the meat pies are just of like rats and leftover pieces of dog and stuff like that. Was the inference, but now it's like with these cutting up the rich, the abusive, or what would you call it, like the upper class,
sure,
taking them in,
the
cutting their throats,
bourgeoisie.
the bourgeoisie, exactly. They're fat and tasty. So the pies become a hit. But there's a betrayal. She's in love with him. He sees right past her. He sees her as a tool. But she thinks that he's just he's adorable and she'll do anything for him. And it's that relationship is it's wrong. And yet it's a lot of fun. They are two very dark anti-heroes,
sure,
of sorts.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You do feel for this that the Alan Rickman Judge Turpin is a total asshole.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of all kinds of other wrinkles and surprises. If you haven't seen it, if you
I
have
have actually not.
It's been
seen
a long time since I saw
because
it.
I am not a fan of all of musicals,
Yep.
and so I've stayed way away.
Yep.
But is it scary? Are there scares?
Yes.
I mean, I've heard it's gory.
Well, it depends if seeing someone's throat get slit makes if that
If that scares you, yeah.
I've watched a few Giallo films,
Yeah,
so
right.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
actually is. It's like a musical giallo.
Okay.
Very,
I like the sound of
That's a good way to
that.
put it.
And they don't shy away from this is it is Tim Burton, but
Right,
Tim
right.
Burton going very R-rated with the bloodshed.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. It's like, are they going to go bloody? Because the Broadway production, they'll use like a streamer and just like, whoa, look, it's a
Right.
blood gouting out of someone's neck. But this is like, nope. It's like they got some pretty good gore effects.
Now, have you ever seen? I know there's a TV adaptation that the BBC did as well. Have you ever seen that one?
I haven't. I think it would be interesting because one of the because this is a
and sorry for all the questions.
no. Yeah,
Because I'm full of questions tonight. So did you go back and rewatch the Johnny Depp 2007 Sweeney Todd?
this is the.
I know. Did you go back and rewatch it?
Oh, I've seen it like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah,
you knew what was what.
Oh yeah, but
Okay.
but one of the things, it's a Stephen Sondheim musical.
Right.
But one of the things that I remembered as a kid was that there was the chorus was, "This is the tale of Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street." There'd be a chorus, but in this case, and that's when I sort of remembered that would be a repetitive theme. It doesn't show up at all in the movie, but all the other musical tunes show up. But because it really is, it's from the perspective, you don't have a chorus.
Right.
So, but
it wasn't a copyright issue.
no, he's actually he got a pretty decent cut out of the whole thing. But as if you're a fan of music, the musical is actually all the songs are great.
All right,
and it's a great story, and it's this great relationship, and the final closing of Act 3 is super bittersweet, and I sometimes think, it's like, can they turn it around? It's like, of course you can't change the ending, but you're watching, it's like, oh, it's doom. So anyways,
were you hoping for something darker, or were you hoping for something lighter?
it ain't a happy ending,
right? So you were happy.
Dark.
So you were hoping for something lighter.
It's sometimes, 'cause you do feel for the. I don't know. It's one of those things, because it's the right ending.
Sure.
It's like The Mist. It's the right ending.
Okay.
But
okay.
it is one of those things where you go, fuck.
So there's no Sweeney Todd 2.
No.
Barbershop.
No Sweeney Todd 2
with Ice Cube.
No. Yeah, unless it's like the
I'd go see that.
What was his show? It was Barbershop?
Yeah, it was Barbershop.
Yeah.
Sweeney Todd 2, the Barbershop.
Kind of slower, a little more weed involved.
Barbershop. I love it. That's a great idea.
Anyway, so that was as soon as Liz started talking couples, I was thinking, it's a good couple.
That is a good couple. All right. I will watch it. I promise. And I will say this. Go, if you haven't already, you're listening to the podcast right now, you have not gone over to the website, scariestthings.com, 1T. Go look up Eric's list of musicals. It is friggin' extensive. There is, frankly, no larger list of horror movie musicals on the internet. This is a comprehensive list.
It's almost everything I could find. I think
I don't even think Wikipedia has a list as comprehensive as this.
I included something called Big Meat Eater.
Yeah.
Just
go read it.
Weird.
Go read it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Agreed.
Yes.
Dead lists. Dead lists are fun. You guys like dead lists. We know that because they are very popular on our website.
That's right.
Check it out.
Yep.
Liz.
Okay. Mine is not a musical, but it does have a horrific scene set to Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues. And the closing song is Atmosphere by Joy Division. And you hear like almost the entire song in the last scene. And this is 2016's Australian horror crime thriller, Hounds of Love.
Not familiar.
This is a real big old bummer. So I'm making a sandwich, and the fun one will be in the middle, because this one is not fun at all. They don't say that it's based on a true crime case there that was about a couple who kidnapped, raped, and tortured and murdered 4 women. But these people, they only take one that we get to see. And this is about a couple named John and Evelyn who cruise around the suburbs of Perth, Australia, and look for young girls to, hey, you want to come back to our place and drink some beers and smoke some weed? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So they abduct kind of this wild teenager who's trying to get away from her parents named Vicky, and it does not go well for Vicky. And so this couple, they abduct Evelyn. Vicky and John are the couple. And Evelyn has to kind of appeal to Vicky. Excuse me, I keep putting these names wrong. Vicky has like kids that she hasn't seen. She's totally obsessed with John and under the spell of him. So Evelyn, who is, I totally got these names wrong, y'all. I messed this up. Okay. I keep looking at their pictures. They look exactly the same too. Okay.
They're Australian. They
Evelyn
all look
and John
the same.
Are the kidnappers. Vicky is the young kid. And so Evelyn is just obsessed with John. She's kind of abandoned her own children just to follow this guy. He's totally got her under his spell. And so Vicky, the only way to get out of this is to try to appeal to Evelyn, like, you don't want to see your kids. Why are you doing this to me? And try to make her escape. And it is brutal, horrific to watch, because no one likes watching these kind of films. But it's an excellent film. It's written and directed by a director named Ben Young, who hasn't really done anything else.
Oh.
And this has also, it won multiple awards at the Australian version of the Oscars. Emma Booth, who plays Evelyn, she won for Best Actress, and both the other actors were nominated. Stephen Curry, who plays John, and Ashley Cummings, who plays the victim or abductee Vicky. So really good, really dark.
They are a couple though. Are they?
They are a couple.
Are they a married couple? Are they like
no,
in the eyes of the Australian government married?
That could be.
Yeah.
Like they live together and are a romantic couple who just cruise for teens to abduct together.
Do you empathize with this couple at all?
Oh, not one bit.
Oh,
not
okay.
At all.
Okay.
No.
This is
which theory was that in the psychological profiles? Was this excitation? No.
This would be when they get what's coming to them. Yeah,
transference.
This is a super exploitation film too.
Do they get what's coming?
One of them does.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah.
Evelyn or Vicky.
One of them does. So watch Hounds of Love for yourself, and you'll figure out who's Vicky and who's Evelyn.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to lighten it up. This is an American comedy duo that started out. They had crossed paths for a number of different years and never quite connected up with each other. But in 1935, almost 100 years ago, Abbott and Costello. Costello's his partner was sick, and so Costello grabbed.
Lou Abbott and
Bud Costello. Yes, so Costello grabbed Lou, or I'm screwing up names now. Sorry. Costello grabbed Abbott, and they hit it off, and they immediately started. They immediately started working radio at the time because obviously there was no TV, but. The thing I thought was really fascinating because you think about Abbott and Costello now, you think about it in the AFI and top 100 of this and top 100 of that and the greatest comedic duo of all time and on and on and on. Their window that they operated in was actually pretty short because Lou Costello died. He died actually at the age of 53. I didn't know this. He died.
Really?
He died in 1959, and by the mid 50s, even though they had done a shit ton of films in the 1940s and early 50s. They did about 40 movies in that period of time. Their brand of comedy had kind of really dwindled, and people were not interested in seeing Abbott and Costello movies anymore. And so they were kind of they weren't on the skids, but they were definitely on the outs.
Comedy can be that way. I mean, it is really hard to be a on the edge comedian for a long period of time. I mean, like.
Oh yeah,
just, yeah. They unlike dramatic actors, they come and go because the tastes change.
Right. Yeah, but to be hustling, comedy for 25 years is an impressive feat. And I chose these two because of their 40 movies. I think there was about 6, so around 15% of their films had a horror theme to them.
And they always meet somebody.
They did, and I actually sat down and watched a couple. I didn't watch all 6 of the films, but the first one that they did was, I mean, they were averaging like 4 or 5 movies a year, really, for a good clip. But the first one they did in 1941 was Hold That Ghost, and then they kind of veered away from horror for the latter part of the 1940s, and it wasn't until 1948 that Universal got sunk their claws into them, no pun intended, and they did Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein. Shortly thereafter, after that, they did Abbott and Costello Meet the Killer with Boris Karloff. Then they did Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man, early 50s. And then what was the last?
Who played the Invisible Man in that one? It wasn't Claude Rains.
No, it wasn't. I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was the whole story. Well, it's you wouldn't know the guy. He was they kind of took a twist on the Invisible Man story. It was a boxer who got framed for killing his fight promoter, and so Lou Costello ends up basically posing as a boxer, and of course, this chubby little man posing as a boxer was like truly hysterical. The Invisible Man is actually in the ring with him, punching out all these heavyweights, unbeknownst to the heavyweights, because the heavyweights cannot see the punches coming because they're coming from the Invisible Man. And then the last one that they did was the last horror film that they did. Well, they did Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in 1953, and then they did Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy in 1955. That was the last of the horror related things they did. But I was thinking, okay, like 40%, if you did 40 movies and 15% of them were horror, that's pretty solid. I mean, given the sheer the absolute sheer number of films that they did. So the two I wanted to talk about obviously were The Invisible Man, which we just touched on, and then I think the other one that's great that I really liked, and I think it's wonderful, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, because it's got Frankenstein, it's got Lon Chaney as the werewolf, and it's got Bela Lugosi, a very old Bela Lugosi, as Dracula. So you kind of got the just perfect
reluctant Bela Lugosi.
Yes, a reluctant Bela Lugosi, but you have the trifecta there, and you even have a little voiceover at the very, very end of the film. The Invisible Man does make an appearance, and it is, oh gosh, I can't even think of the person who does the voice. It is, oh God, I'm gonna.
Is he?
Very famous. He is
Vincent Price.
Vincent Price. Thank you. It's Vincent Price. Yeah.
It's like, give me a voice.
Yes.
Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Vincent Price. Yeah. It's Vincent Price plays the voice of the Invisible Man at the very, very, very end of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
It tells you how long Vincent Price was doing it. Man, he was.
Oh yeah. He was like these guys. I mean, they were banging out a significant number of films. But yeah, they're very funny. They're still very funny. I think they hold up pretty well. I think
the very definition. I think the whole idea of slapstick. It is really the slapping the stick against your leg to all the crazy antics for radio.
Yeah, and it's I think these guys really honed their craft working in burlesque for so long, even before they got to radio, and then they honed it even further in radio. And so that by the time they got around to actually doing film, they were set and ready to go.
Yeah, here's a fun little tidbit.
Yes, Abbott and Costello tidbit.
It's an Abbott and Costello tidbit. I've only had one acting performance in front of a large audience before, and that was for our senior right before graduation, another Eric Landsberg and I did Abbott and Costello, Who's on First.
Oh, which is one of the most famous
it is
comedy
great,
bits ever.
And we were, oh God, I was so nervous because I'm not an actor, and we had it because we had done.
Were
this
you
several times.
Lou or were you Bud?
I was Lou.
Okay,
I was a little guy.
Yeah.
But I didn't even try and affect the voice. But it's all that Who's on First is all about the timing.
Right.
It's a pitter patter. It's like those guys had that shtick down. They were so good at it.
Oh
it
yeah.
It is still that Who's on First. It's still funny.
Yeah, I mean they did, 20 plus years of comedy. You're gonna get good at it. They cracked the 20,000 hour. They cracked the 20,000 hour mark of perfection. Probably very very early on in their career. So yeah, go check out some of the Abbott and Costello horror films because they still hold up and they're pretty damn funny, and they are perfect gateway material for young kids. Even young kids can watch those.
All right, my second pick is this is falling in line with the Valentine's theme. This is a Beauty and the Beast, young man falling for a beautiful woman who is not what she appears to be. This is the 2014 movie from Benson and Moorhead called Spring. This is their first feature film outing, I think. So if you're not familiar with that tandem, they also
and they're doing the new Moon, and they're doing the new Moon Knight.
Yeah, no, that because they're
that seems
they're
exciting.
So good about all the kinds of thing about dark dialogue and but this Spring is. It's a wonderful movie to look at. It's one of those. Sometimes you'll find the independent filmmakers who just like pull out all the stops and they show you what they can do with their camera tricks.
Right.
And this is the combination. I think Aaron Benson is the writer, and Justin Benson is the writer, and Aaron Moorhead is the cinematographer, I think.
Okay.
And it takes place in Italy, where there's an expat. Named Evan, who is sort of wandering through Italy, just looking for work. He's sort of trying to find his way in life, and he finds there's this beautiful young woman named Louise who is sort of who's very flirtatious, but she disappears at weird times, and he's obsessed, right? And the thing that it turns out is that she's actually a sea monster, and there's a lot of buildup of the kind of the signs, but he sort of ignores any of the warning signs, and it's fantastic chemistry. This is one of those ones. If you like the before sunrise, before sunset kind of stuff, it's kind of this languid romance, but it's kind of slow played romance. It's not, and she plays both flirtatious and hard to get, and but when he sees her full sea monster mode, it's kind of like, what do you do? Because this is it. All of a sudden, it's not just like, she's something out of Lovecraftian nightmares, right?
Right.
Something with like multiple tentacles. But in the end, it's like, but she can. It's sort of a lycanthrope thing where she can change back into her beautiful human form.
So he's able to see past all this and see her inner beauty.
Yeah, but after she's eaten, like one stumbles across her, if she's like a half-eaten body, it's kind of like,
right.
Well, do you still love me? and so that really it becomes the tension of can your love for someone see past something that is monstrous like this. He's just and I mean that's the story. It's like boy meets girl, girl's a sea monster, boy doesn't know what to do. And it is
I think the boy doesn't know what to do part of that equation is endemic to all relationships.
That's right.
I think.
I mean, but it's like, but there's the added thing. It's like, does she like my music? No, it's like is she gonna wake up at some point and just like can't just eat me?
Right.
and it helps that this is like I think it's in Tuscany.
It's in Italy,
yeah,
but it's like on the coast.
Yeah. Right.
So you got to go to the water.
And let's see. I think the town name is Polignano or Polignano, something like that.
Okay.
But it was a great sort of introduction to this fabulous directing tandem. If you liked The Endless, actually I think they might have done Resolution before they did this.
Okay.
But anyways, it is certainly if you want to make a horror movie, a date night movie,
that'll be a good choice.
Spring would be great. The horror doesn't come really at you hard,
right?
But it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
That when she goes full squid beastie, it's that.
True indeed.
Okay.
Good choice.
Liz.
Okay, mine also could be a date night movie, but maybe like not the first date. And since it's not really a podcast unless I talk about Ben Wheatley, this is the horror comedy Sightseers. So this is directed by Ben Wheatley, and it's written by and stars Alice Lowe and Steve Oram. And they play Chris and Tina. And they are a couple who's only been together for a couple months, but they are going to go on a road trip caravanning through England. And they have their itinerary all planned out. They're going to see like the Pencil Museum and the viaducts and just random weird stuff because Chris is going to write a book. But along the way, they encounter, other travelers. The first one is like a guy who litters on the bus, and Chris is like, dude, you dropped something, and then runs him over in his car. The next with his car, with the caravan. The next is they meet, so then they pull up to their next spot where they're camping, and they meet this, just couple who thinks they're better than them. And so the next morning, this guy takes his dog for a walk, and Chris is like, you're not better than me, buddy. And he murders him. So they keep encountering at every different caravan park that they go to someone who pisses either one of them or the both of them off, and then offing these people. So it's hilarious. It's also pretty gory. I mean, they do not hold back on the gore with how they're killing these people, but it's so funny. It is deadpan, just British humor. And I mean, the cast, it's also produced by Edgar Wright, so there's some comedy chops for you.
There you go.
Alice Lowe, who plays Tina, was in like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place and a bunch of other, silly British slapstick things. And so I got a couple of critics' reception was kind of all over the place. And so this was my favorite one, though. And this is a writer named Kim Newman, who wrote in Empire magazine that Sightseers is a uniquely British blend of excruciating comedy of embarrassment and outright gore, not quite as disorientating in its mood shifts as Kill List, but just as impressive as a film.
Wow.
So, yeah. Have you not seen Sightseers?
I have not.
No, I haven't seen Sightseers either. I'm just shocked by that critic's comparison to Kill List.
Well, I mean, it's so good. Field in England had some comedy in there that you'd have to get. This one at least was outright comedy, but also lots of murders and lots of gore. And the best one is that there's this guy named Martin who they meet who is trying to build a mini caravan that you can pull on a bike. And he meets his death in his tiny caravan. So it's pretty funny. You got to see Sightseers. It's hilarious. It is
would never
bloody.
Have associated Ben Wheatley with high comedy.
Yeah, it's great. Well, he didn't write this one.
Okay.
So maybe he can't write them that funny. But he sure made a funny movie. And definitely see Sightseers. I rewatched it, and I feel like it's funnier the second time.
I feel like, I like this podcast because you get to learn about all sorts of new stuff because I haven't seen any of these movies.
Oh, wow.
That we've talked about tonight. Okay. None of them. None of them. Zero.
Wow.
I haven't even seen Spring. I did see The Endless. Okay. I've not seen Spring, though.
Yep.
So I feel like this podcast, man, just gives and gives and gives.
Keeps on giving.
Gives.
Yeah, get on these movies, Mike.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. My next couple is probably the most famous horror couple of all time. This, of course, they have spurned an entire universe. They have created an entire universe with the two of them at the very center, the core of that universe. This, of course, is Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah, great choice.
Yeah. That's my married couple. My married couple. I had the buddy couple, the married couple, and then I'm gonna have, as you'll soon see, another familial couple. But Ed and Lorraine Warren, if you know The Conjuring, which I have a feeling you probably do, there's 8 Conjuring movies now. They've been in 5 of the 8 Conjuring movies, some way more than others. Obviously in Conjuring 1, 2, and 3. They play pretty significant roles. Not so much in Annabelle Comes Home, not so much in The Nun, but they are in both of those films. They do have a very, very small role. These two were at it for quite a long time. They founded, Ed died in 2006, but they founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, the NESPR, in 1952. So they were at their paranormal research for quite some time, and they even claimed that the NESPR had investigated well over 10,000 cases during their career. And when I read that, I was like, that's complete. Wow. That's just garbage. I mean, that reminded me when, Paul Ryan ran for vice president with Mitt Romney, and he claimed to have, climbed every single 14,000 foot peak in Colorado. And they're like, yeah, dude, that would take you like 150 years. It's not possible. Just like I don't think investigating 10,000 paranormal cases is possible. But nonetheless, they said that they hired a variety of individuals over the years, including, medical doctors and researchers and police officers and nurses and clergy in all these investigations. So maybe, I don't know. I probably don't know enough about the Warrens other than their role in The Conjuring. And of course, the Warrens are played by Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, and they, do a great job. I mean, the fact that they keep going back to that well, it just gets. I feel like it almost gets better and better and better each time, just because it's such a. They're such a comfortable presence, and they work so well together, and they're. The tension between the two of them and his concerns for, her rolling into the dark void, each and every film is so sincere and believable that I've been hooked by the Warren family, since day one. So I'm going to do a quick dead list here on the fly.
Okay.
I'm going to do Conjuring 1, 2, and 3. Here it goes. Conjuring 1 is the best. Conjuring 3 is the second best. And Conjuring 2 is the third best of the 3.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there you go. Dead list on the fly. First time. This is a first on the podcast. Dead list on the fly, totally extemporaneous dead list.
There you go, Mike Campbell special right there.
Nice job,
Put it in a jar. And
that's right.
That one. Well, I think one of the tricky things is that Patrick Wilson is getting more and more buff because he's doing so many action movies.
Right.
That it's going to be hard for him to be Ed Warren and continuing to get schlubbier.
I know. I've noticed his shirts have gotten tighter and tighter.
He is, it's from Aquaman and Moonfall and
right.
other things that he's got that chiseled jaw now. He's not kind of soft around the edges anymore. He's kind of a striking leading man.
I know.
But okay, now here's a question relative to Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
When they've done with Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Right.
Did that take place before or after Amityville in sort of the sequence of events, like chronologically in their ghost busting?
Well, 3 takes place right after 1.
Right.
And Because remember,
so they jump back and forth in time. So if they wanted to do Amityville,
Yeah.
they could.
Yeah. They still could.
I kind of don't want them to, but
Sure,
because I thought Amityville was boring.
Yeah, it is.
I like the remake of that though, but I like Ryan Reynolds.
I know.
I also like not Josh Brolin. What's his dad's name?
Jeff Brolin?
No,
no, Charles Bronson. No,
no.
Mr. Barbara Streisand. Let's just call
Mr. Barbara Streisand.
Let's just call him
original.
Mr. Barbara Streisand.
Yeah. Josh Brolin's dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr.
James Brolin.
James.
Yeah.
He's got
AKA
that beard.
Mr. Streisand.
That beard that could cut open a can of tomato sauce, right? It's like he's got a very sharp beard in there.
And for the record, we have pitched the idea of going through each and every single Amityville film, and each time I pitch it, Eric gives me a hard no.
That's like I'll be on vacation that week. Thank you very much. Because I don't.
That's more like a month.
Yep.
I think I counted it up, and I think there's 21 different cuts at the Amityville storyline.
I will often say this.
Holy
It's like
moly.
when I suggest to you guys, it's like, anytime you want to, you can just create a dead list, and you can just and so you could do all 21 Amityvilles and talk about them, and then it will find an audience. Just not.
Maybe I'll do a solo Amityville monologue by myself.
I'm sure Liz will
Not.
I'll join you for Amityville, but I did not know there were 21. Oh my God.
I want to say,
We got to get into that.
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should
Holy
rank them, debate them, and perseverate over.
It'll be like a 7-part special series.
Scariest Things podcast goes Amityville.
Yep. Holy moly. That's a lot.
All right.
Jeez.
What is next on your list?
All right. My third. Oh, wait. That's Eric's.
Eric's
finishing up.
So I was like, wait, I'm on 3. Yeah.
We still got, each of us has one more to do.
Right.
Not
yeah.
finishing.
Yep.
I'm the starter.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We're totally professional today.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so it's coin tossed. I got 2 couples I really want to talk about, but I'm going to go for fun. And speaking of Edgar Wright, I am going Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, there we go.
And so and actually you could take your pick. You could go Shaun and Ed, or you can go Shaun and Liz. And I'm going to go Shaun and Liz.
Oh,
yeah.
Because
Hello.
Hello. And it is, everybody knows Shaun of the Dead. And it is one of the most pitch perfect horror comedies ever made. It is.
We definitely had it on our list.
Yeah.
When we did horror comedies a million years ago, we talked about this.
Yep. I mean, it's right out of the starter block. It's just hysterical. And it made stars out of Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Kate Ashfield hasn't really broken through much in anything else that I'm aware of. She's probably in British TV, like.
Oh, she is. I've actually looked her up before, and she is in tons and tons and tons of British TV.
Yeah. So I guess if I'm
that's her jam.
Yeah. Oh, she was a nymphomaniac. There you go. There's some fun stuff. But Shaun of the Dead. I mean, it really is. It's the dutiful puppy dog love of Shaun, a kind of underemployed, borderline depressed loser who finds that he has to rescue his mom and Liz from the doom of the zombie apocalypse, and frankly, Liz is perfectly capable of handling herself in this, but he takes his cricket bat, and he and his best buddy Ed go out to try and rescue them, and they make it to the Winchester for a big brawl for it all with a horde of zombies.
No, they go to the Winchester for a pint.
Well, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Most importantly, it's not about the zombie apocalypse. It's about going and getting a pint.
Yep. and it is, it's the one where who's saving who,
right?
Right.
Right.
But it's so just the banter and the witticism and just it was one of those things that it was a fresh injection of life into a. I mean, by this point, zombies was at its very peak. I think when Shaun of the Dead came out, I think it was.
Yeah,
you had.
I think I was right about that. Yeah, that was right on the money.
The Walking Dead comic was out at that time, and I think that it just became, and I think Shaun of the Dead helped popularize and probably over popularize the zombie genre, because it's still, I mean, the great thing was that it still held its gory chops, but in the core of the story was Sean's devotion to those he loved, and that was and that's actually Ed too. I mean, he hangs on to Ed after he's dead. Yeah, and they still play some PlayStation. It's great.
I'm so glad though, over all the years though, since it was released, they've shown restraint and have not done a Shaun of the Dead remake, a Shaun of the Dead prequel, a Shaun of the Dead sequel. I'm so glad, because I mean, you got to know they had probably so many studios and so much money being thrown at them to do that work, and for them to show that kind of restraint and not go back and do that is pretty exceptional.
Yeah, well, they in a way that they what do they call it, the it's named after like a pastry. What the Edgar Wright's when you do with Hot Fuzz and with
his production studio.
No. Like they call it. There's somebody out there is going to
a requel.
No, but it's a series of movies that are connected because it has the same actors and the director, and sort of thematically, that but they. Oh God, this is
like a trilogy.
It's not a trilogy. I think there's actually is it a trilogy or is it 4? Because the end oh God, here and all of a sudden I'm sounding like a total rank amateur.
That's all right. You can Google it while I do mine.
All right, Liz, what do you got?
Okay, so my last one, Roger Ebert says, is a horror film for people who like to be scared by a grim, joyless, and thoroughly depressing character study. And this is Fabrice Duwals's 2014 film, Alleluia.
Okay, so another
this
one
is a bummer.
Mike's going to have to go see. What?
This one's a super bummer. So this stars Lola Duenas, it's a Spanish last name, I can't pronounce it, and as Gloria, and Laurent Lucas as Michael. And Laurent Lucas has been in other French horror films, most notably in Fabrice Duwals's Calvaire. He's the victim in that one, so you'll recognize him.
Yeah.
And he plays Michael, and Michael is a ladies' man who is also kind of a con man, and he takes Gloria out on a date. They meet online and wines her, dines her, sleeps with her, and she becomes completely obsessed. But oops, Michael uses other women and then murders them to get what he wants. So Gloria's like, well, I love you and I'm not letting you go, so I'm going to help you. So she poses as his sister while he marries another woman, and so then everything hits the fan. So this is really about obsessive love and things she'll do for love, this kind of thing. Because she's the first killer. And then he's like, oh, wait, if she'll do this for me, the sky's the limit. I mean, what can't we do? And she abandons her daughter. She does all this just for this man and to dire and grim consequences. This is also based loosely on a real-life serial killer couple known as the Lonely Hearts Murderers, who murdered 40 women in the 40s here in the USA. Yep.
40.
So,
wow.
Yep, 40. Woo. Yeah. It's a super bummer, but it's really beautiful to look at. It's really well made. The acting is awesome, and it is really, really gory. And there's not much else to say about Alleluia. It's a bummer.
Go see it with the one you love the most.
That's right.
With the one you love the most. I don't know if you'll make it out together with this movie. I mean, the poster, if you look at the poster is like you see the top of a woman's head, like what it looks like kind of sitting against a wall with just a big old blood smear behind it. And like Alleluia is written out with like the eye is dotted with a heart. So it is very, very, yeah.
Man, you had
a lot of.
This Liz
had a bummer sandwich with a date night sandwich with two slices of bummer bread.
Yep, that's exactly it. But it was also nominated for a bunch of awards in like what is kind of like the French Academy Awards.
Okay.
So,
so
I like them dark over there.
I found.
Okay. I do too.
Yes. What's the term?
The term is actually they describe the combination of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End as the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy.
Oh, I never would have gotten that
also
one.
known as the
Me
Blood
neither.
and Ice Cream trilogy, and apparently Cornetto is a brand of ice cream cones that is in Britain.
Not a Neapolitan.
No.
That's what I was. The only three flavored thing I can think of was
Or a
Neapolitan.
drumstick. That's my. It's like that's what I go for.
Or a rocket pop.
Rocket pops are good too. Yeah. The red, white, and blue rocket pops.
Yep.
All right, the last couple of the night is this is the familial couple. This is started out with this is a 3-film trilogy that started out in 1982 in the to the tune of $35,000 and spawned, of course, Basket Case 2 and Basket Case 3, The Progeny. These were all directed by Frank Henenlotter, who had some relationship to the world of trauma, obviously. But the couple we're talking about here is Dwayne and his super duper lovable but very freaky and very violent growth twin brother
former conjoined
twin brother twin brother Belial. And Belial is Belial resents being cut off from his brother.
He's hard to look at.
Dwayne resents how everyone treats Belial so badly, but both of them universally hate doctors because it was the doctors that separated them early on in their lives, and so they seek out revenge for doctors because they hate doctors. This is a great series. If you haven't watched it, you can get it. There's even I don't think there's a Blu-ray copy yet available, but there are some pretty decent. No, there actually is a Blu-ray copy available.
For those of you
now
who still get
hard
media.
For those of you still getting hard media, there is a Blu-ray copy available, and it's good. The other two are just as wild, and I will say in all three, Dwayne, played by Kevin Van Hentrick, and Belial, they're in all three films. So if you think that Dwayne gets it at some point or Belial gets it, oh no, they're around for the full thing, and they actually come up with, I think, some pretty clever and some pretty interesting storylines for Basket Case 2 and Basket Case 3, The Progeny. But to me, when we started, when we got this assignment, we started talking about couples. I took it as obviously a sort of a non-sexual nature. I mean, although
pairings of just two people who
connected. Although Ed and Lorraine might have sex, although that's a little unclear given their
they have a kid.
Given their religious
they did
proclivities.
It once.
They do have a kid.
Yes, there's just once.
Yep.
But all the other characters, or all the other the couples, I wanted to sort of go a little far afield, and I mean, really, to me, they are there's a great yin yang, at least in the original Basket Case, between Dwayne and Belial, and they do, even though the film is largely sort of grindhouse gore and schlock, there's a great deal of empathy, both somewhat from the perspective of Belial, but certainly from the perspective of Dwayne, wanting to protect his brother and feed him as many human beings and hamburgers as he can possibly squeeze into their basket. So yeah, check out Basket Case. I did review it recently for the website. So go over to scariestthings.com, 1T, and you can read my full review of Basket Case if you so choose. But be sure to go out and watch Basket Case 1, 2, and 3.
So in review,
yes.
So
let's go through our couples.
All right. So my couples, I had Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett from Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. I also have Evan, played by Lou Taylor Pucci, and Louise, played by Nadia Hilker in Spring. And then lastly, I had Sean, Simon Pegg, and Liz, Kate Ashfield, in Shaun of the Dead.
All right. And Liz.
Okay. My couples are Evelyn and John White, and they are married. I had all my stuff written in the wrong order, and that's from Hounds of Love, 2016, Australia. My next couple is Chris and Tina in Ben Wheatley's 2012 Sightseers. And my final couple is Gloria and Michelle in Fabrice Dueltz's Alleluia from 2014.
All right. I had the American comedy duo Abbott and Costello, followed up by the American paranormal research team Ed and Lorraine Warren from the Conjuring universe. And I closed out with also American brothers Dwayne and Belial from the Basket Case series.
Yeah, well, Belial. Let's take him home with you.
Belial.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw out some because I was really I wanted to do Oscar and Ely from Let the Right One In.
Oh,
the
the
little boy and his favorite vampire. It was
a good couple.
Great little relationship. Of course, we should mention Frankenstein's monster and the bride because they're the original.
Yeah.
And I also have a soft spot for Godzilla and Mothra.
All right. All good couples.
They got if you're gonna go down, you can just you want to bring those two are they're the fightingest couple around.
I thought you were going to say the twins, the weird little miniature twins in Mothra.
Yeah, they're a couple too.
They are. They're a couple of twins.
They don't fight.
No, they do not fight. All right, I have a tagline to take us out of here from 1982's Basket Case. The tenant in room 7 is very small, very twisted, and very mad.
Yeah, it's a classic.